Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today about how to increase e-commerce sales with conversational Facebook ads. This webinar is brought to you in part today by Octane AI, Mute 6, and Clearbank. So before we begin this webinar, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our speakers. Our speakers today will be Ben Parr, the president and co-founder of Octane AI, Drew Adele, the head of email marketing for Mute 6, and Shen Sivananthan, who is the head of partnerships for Clearbank. Ben, would you like to go ahead and just introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the kind intro, Taryn. I'm Ben. I'm the president and co-founder of Octane AI. My original claim to fame is that I was the co-editor and editor-at-large of Mashable, the technology news website, where I wrote 2,446 articles in my 3.5 years there and ran a team of 50 on the West Coast. I afterwards started a venture fund, invested in early stage companies, and wrote a best-selling book for HarperCollins called Captivology, The Science of Capturing People's Attention. You can get it in any Amazon or any other bookstore that any local bookstore. It's a book on the science and psychology of attention and why we pay attention to certain people, products, and ideas. In 2016, I co-founded Octane AI with my other two co-founders. We are the messenger platform for e-commerce. So think what you would use something like a Klaviyo or a MailChimp or another email platform for, but built for Facebook Messenger and SMS, being able to build up an audience and automate flows that drive revenue and automate support. And of course, run amazing ads that drive real sales, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
Great, thanks, Ben. Drew?
Hey guys, so it's a great segue, so thank you, Ben. But I am Drew Adele, head of email marketing at Mute 6. I've been helping brands grow with high converting email for the past 4 years or so, and I've been taking that success recently and leveraging it to help brands completely conquer Messenger with the help of platforms such as Octane AI.
Great, thanks, Drew. And Shen?
Awesome, thanks, Drew. So my name is Shen. I lead our partnerships team here at Clearbank. So that includes our agency partners, our platform partners like Octane AI and Mute 6 as our agency partners, as well as our ad platform partners like Facebook, Google, and all the other the social channels there. Clearbank, what we do is provide capital non-dilutively to e-commerce businesses, specifically for funding digital acquisition. And so I think we're going to learn a lot today from Octane AI and Mute 6. And Clearbank has been the fuel to fire a lot of these campaigns and activities through capital. So very excited to be here.
Great, thanks for that, Shen. And so moving on, everyone. So for our agenda today, we're going to be talking about everything conversational Facebook ads. And specifically, when we're talking about conversational Facebook ads, we're going to talk about click-to-messenger ads, sponsored messages, and boosted Facebook posts. In this webinar today, you're basically going to learn how e-commerce merchants are using these kinds of ads to help increase their sales and get better advertising performance than they're traditionally used to with the usual click-to landing page ads. So today we're going to talk about what conversational Facebook ads actually are, some strategies for using conversational ads. We're also going to talk about why conversational ads perform better with automation, specifically because a lot of these ads take place in Facebook Messenger. So you're going to be learning how to use these ads with Messenger. We're also going to show case studies of successful click-to-messenger ads, so you'll actually see examples of how these ads work and the results that the company's got from using them. And then finally, we're also going to talk about how to get the most out of your ad dollars on these campaigns. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Drew to talk a little bit about conversational ads.
Awesome, thank you. So just a quick refresher for everyone. Again, my name is Drew Adele, and I'm the head of marketing at Mute 6, where we are helping brands grow with high converting email and also now leveraging our success to help brands conquer Messenger. So Messenger is an amazing way to stand out from your competition. As consumers build real connections with your brand, it's clear that the one-to-one communication that is Messenger is becoming increasingly important to both engage and drive revenue. We truly believe that email is still very much alive and a massive piece of any successful marketing strategy, But it is also clear that people are receiving messages in different ways. Today, there are over 1.3 billion people using Messenger every month. So to be able to deliver a message to someone wherever they're messaging most is really what's going to make the difference. And we believe that combining email and Messenger and having multiple touch points is going to be the key to success. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. There's a lot to work with in Messenger in terms of deployments and campaign types, but for this webinar, I'm going to focus on two kinds of first touch Messenger campaigns, one of which is going to be click to Messenger, and then the other is comment capture. A click to Messenger ad is going to be a type of Facebook ad that's linked to an automated conversation with your brand's Facebook page. It's more of a traditional ad unit, but with ridiculous read rates, usually close to 100%. These help brands gradually build intent and drive click-throughs to the site. After someone opts in via click to Messenger ad, messages can then be triggered with Messenger, and you can even trigger emails based on actions taken by customers in Messenger. And then comment capture is an awesome hybrid that lives as an organic post on your Facebook page. This is a great way to transform organic success into paid success. If you start to see good results organically, feel free to put some dollars behind it to boost your post, collect more Messenger opt-ins, and really drive some revenue. We go to the next slide. So first up is click to Messenger campaigns. This is your workhorse ad unit that functions similarly to the kinds of Facebook ads you may already be familiar with. Like any other marketing campaign, it's really important to divide click to Messenger campaigns into a bunch of smaller goals that add up towards your eventual conversion. Pre-click, your goal is really going to be to target the right audience with your click to Messenger ad. At Mute 6, we've seen anywhere between 2 and 6x ROAS. Some things that work really well for us have been discounts, product targeted, and newsletter sign up. And CTAs like get offer, shop now, sign up, reveal code are proving to be very successful. Post-click, your goal is going to be to get that first response to get the user opted into Messenger, and then convert a sale or a sign up, and make sure that you have everything in place for them to receive those automated messages that you can send out through Octane as well. An opt-in can trigger an abandoned cart message, browse abandonment messages, and re-engagement messages, just to name a few, which is very similar to what we set up in email marketing and what we know works best. We can go to the next slide. So this first example that we want to show demonstrates one of the craziest values of click to Messenger ads, which is going to be that 100% read rate. If I was able to get an email to have 100% read rate, my life would be very easy. So many people are messaging on their phones these days. It's important to be able to hit people where they're communicating, and this is why you see such a high read rate. That, as well as people's Messenger inboxes, are likely not as packed and full as what you see in an email inbox. The reveal code CTA tied with the discount offering in this example is really what worked. When thinking of building out the message copy, we like to look at what has performed on Facebook and what's performed on email, and then we turn that into more of the conversational format. We didn't do it here, but if you can add GIFs and images, that's even better. And we can go to the next slide. Beyond the read rate and opt-in rate, it's really important to actually convert your prospects as well. So here we have an example that worked really well in remarketing to drive someone's first purchase. We took an ad creative that we know performed well and added a strong CTA to it, which you'll see there is the get offer. If we didn't get the conversion right away, we were still able to message these opt-ins again with those abandonment messages that you're able to trigger in Octane. And if you have email addresses as well, you can also be segmenting your list based on messenger behavior to double your chances of a conversion. So it really brings things full circle. Next slide. And here we're going to get into another category of Messenger, which is going to be comment capture. We think that this is a really great campaign for beginners. Comment capture is a strong way to get all of your traffic engaging with your organic Facebook posts. If you're employing more influencer or contest tactics that are having success in your organic posts, this is a great way to start moving that traffic into the higher converting channel of Messenger. Not only that, but if you're just starting out, this is a great way to put a little spend into your Messenger ads and experiment with what works best for your brand and what might not work. Once you've gotten that comment capture prospect into Messenger, the strategy becomes really similar to your regular campaigns. All you have to do is make sure that your messages through Messenger match up with the context of that initial comment capture campaign, so that your messaging to your prospects is extremely clear. Next slide. So this is an example of a really strong campaign we ran for a brand. They have a lot of engagement from their organic followers, so it makes a lot of sense to use a contest like this to turn some of those organic followers into Messenger prospects. The image leveraged a UGC picture that was actually submitted to the brand. And it also shows the hat that we were showcasing as far as the contest in the comment capture campaign. This particular comment capture generated 215 opt-ins so far. It's only been running for about a week, which is going to be huge for a growing brand. So overall, these examples show how to get people to your site and into your sales flow in a high impact way. If you want to learn more about how to start or elevate your Messenger strategy, you can feel free to email me directly. Really simple, drew@mute6.com. And I'd love to help you out and answer any of your questions. And what I'm really excited for is the next part of this presentation, where Octane AI is going to show you how to take all of that traffic and guide it all the way to conversion. So Ben, feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Drew. That was an awesome overview of some of the awesome stuff that you all are doing with your clients on the conversational ad side. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just like the one-on-one on why Messenger in the first place, just to like reiterate the importance of this channel. And then I'm going to dive deeper into specific use cases and examples of the two main types of conversational ads, those being click-to-messenger ads and sponsored messages. So we can go and get started. I just want to talk a little bit about the importance of messaging. I think Drew already imparted some important information, which is that just billions of people use Facebook Messenger and messaging in general. 4 billion people message around the world. It is the fastest growing marketing channel in the world. And more than half of all consumers say they want to message with their favorite brands, which is just another way of saying that you are leaving money on the table if you are not connecting with your customers over messaging, because there's just a large group of customers where this is the primary way they communicate. They don't open emails. You need to reach them. This is the thing that they use most, and the open rates and the click-through rates are ridiculous. And so when you optimize properly and you build up an audience using conversational ads and you drive sales using conversational ads, you can open up a new world of revenue possibilities. One other major difference between Messenger and the other channels, though, next slide, is that messaging and Messenger is a two-way channel. And so email, ads, social, they're primarily one-way broadcasts. I send something out and nothing really comes back. Messenger is unique where that you can have different responses people can give back, and so you can use that information to retarget against, to learn more information about your customers, and a lot more. To give you an example, you could ask your customers about, what kind of product they really care about most, the segments that they really care about, and you could use that information to retarget messages or even ads against. One feature Octane AI has that others don't really have is the ability to automatically create a Facebook custom audience based on a response that a user gives in Messenger. So you could create like a blue list or a green list based on like their color preferences that they give in Messenger. This is one of the many things that make messaging really, really unique. So On the next slide, there's a lot of things that we really do excel at when you're thinking about Messenger general. It's like conversational lead generation, these conversational product quizzes. I think one thing that when you use Octane AI and you use messaging, you'll see like not just the ability to send like a one message broadcast, but you can have a back and forth conversation and use it not just to sell something, but also for FAQs and for automating pieces of your support. And another thing we really excel at is the customer journey automation. So I saw someone asking about abandoned carts. We do not just that, but all sorts of different like messaging and series, everything from welcome series to re-engagement and others. And yes, if you're using another platform outside of Shopify like WooCommerce, you could use a lot of these features and all that. You can email us, business@octaneai.com, and we can go deeper into like what's possible and what you can do. In addition, engagement and revenue reporting, and I think just very important, and this is kind of like part of the whole thing of why we're doing this webinar here, is just like having a really great partner and really great partners to work with you to make your messaging messenger channel really successful. Because you can't just like turn it on and say like, oh, I make a whole bunch of money. You need to put in just a little bit of work, just like you would with email. But with like us, we will work with you to make sure you're successful. With great partners like View 6 and Clearbank, they will help you optimize your ads, make sure that the A/B testing is going right. And when you have those kinds of partners, you can be ultra super successful. Just some of the many things in which we excel. Just before continuing, there's a whole bunch of brands we work with. We work with a lot of the world's top Shopify Plus, as well as like GoPro and other big brands, as well as like everything from like Royal Caribbean to the world's top music artists. And then I think one last thing, just to reinforce the stats on the next slide, is that when done properly, messaging can drive between 5 and over 30% of increases in revenue, especially if you're using all the correct opt-ins, you're running click to messenger Facebook ads, you're running comment capture, you're putting an on-site chatbot on your site. You could really drive huge revenue. We see on average an 18x ROI, but that bumps up to 27x or higher during Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And that's in part because of the super high open to click-through rates. It goes to nearly 100 with a good engaging message. And then also a bot can automatically answer customer questions. View 6 actually has a customer that did a really great job, that they did a really good job with, that help answers common questions all the time that customers are sending in. It's a really, really awesome experience when you train your bot on how to respond to those common questions. And then you can also hook it up to like the other tools that you use, next slide, that if you're using a customer support platform like Gorgeous or Reamaze, Octane AI supports that. Or if you're using Klaviyo, you can actually sync your email and messenger flows. As Drew was saying before, it's really important to still be doing both email and messenger. And we're the only messaging company that has this integration with Klaviyo to sync the two. And I'll talk a little bit about that in the rest of my presentation. But you can see some of the other amazing companies we integrate with. And so just kind of reiterate, this is just kind of why a lot of brands choose not just Octane AI, but messaging in general. Just being able to do these advanced flows, drive real revenue, integrate with the products that they use, and use AI to answer questions and have a team of people that are going to help them grow and answer their customer questions. So that's kind of the super short overview on everything. I want to go deeper into conversational ads. I think important, I'm seeing a couple questions in the chat. You could use conversational ads no matter which e-commerce platform you're using. It can be any e-commerce platform. You know, it doesn't matter which platform. You can just message us. We'll help you get onboarded if you're outside of, say, Shopify, for example. And if you're using WooCommerce or BigCommerce or a custom platform, just email us, business@octaneai.com. We've worked with View 6 before on non-Shopify stores that have done really successful things using Messenger. So with all that said, let's talk about conversational ads. Specifically, I want to show you this slide. This is the magic slide. Go take a screenshot, go post it on your wall, go make a poster of it, go retweet it everywhere. This is the master slide. So a normal ad is an ad where you target an audience, they click a button, they click and they go to a site and you hope they convert. That's the basics of an ad. And you can do really great things with that. A conversational ad has additional benefits though. It's an ad that can follow up with you throughout the customer journey. So you can see this flow where like when you click a Facebook Messenger ad, you drop into a Messenger conversation. By clicking that ad, you are now as a customer automatically opted in for future Facebook messages. You're a subscriber, which means you can send them broadcasts, abandonment messages, whatever it might be. So a couple key messages in this journey. If they start to have a conversation with you, say you're trying to recommend a product and they stop 3/5 of the way in, you could send a conversation abandonment message and drive them back to the conversation so they go to the landing page. If they go to the landing page and they don't put something in the cart, you can send a browse abandonment message. If they go and they add something to cart and they don't finish that purchase, you could send a cart abandonment message. If they purchase, then you have the opportunity to upsell at the order confirmation stage, the shipping confirmation stage, the like referral prompt. If you're using something like a smile.io, you can drive more sales that way. Upsells, cross sells. And during this entire journey, you could collect really key and important pieces of information. Email and phone number are two big ones. Messenger has a unique ability where when you ask for email and phone number, it'll automatically pre-populate that from their Facebook page, from their Facebook account. And if all they have to do is click a button to confirm they want to share it with you, and then you can automatically sync that with your email platform or with Octane AI for SMS, for example, so that then you can send SMS messages that way. But you can also collect photos, rich media, birthdays, gender, lots of information that make it really powerful to target messages in a really detailed kind of way. So take a screenshot. This is the master slide to think about the power of conversational ads. It's an ad that can follow up with you. With that said, I want to talk about specific examples of ads that really work. There's lots of other types, and if you come up with some a new ad type that worked really well, I want you to email me, ben@octaneai.com, because we've seen customers starting to experiment with conversational ads and seeing really amazing results. But also at the same time, like we're seeing like a great partners like Mute 6 experimenting and doing amazing results. These results are in part from that collaboration we've had with Mute 6 and with Clearbank and with our other partners. One type of ad, as Drew mentioned before, the discount unlock. So it's very simple. Drop them into Messenger, offer them a discount code, drive them to the site. Key here is that when they get that message, they get that code, you can send conversation abandonment, browse abandonment, and cart abandonment messages so that you can help them finish the purchase, which helps dramatically increase that conversion rate. As an example of a stat that really matters here, 1 out of 9 of cart abandonment messages sent by Octane AI convert into a sale. To show you an example of this on the next slide, you may remember this one from a little bit earlier in the presentation. Beekeeper's Naturals, in partnership with Mute 6. They were able to drive in a great 6x ROAS by doing a discount campaign, create a simple button, drive people to the site. It will perform 2x better than non-conversational ads, which is just like, I think, like the tip of the iceberg of what's possible. But it shows that these conversational ads, like maybe even counterintuitively to some people, driving people into Messenger and then to the site can and often does convert better than driving people just directly to the site. Not to say that you shouldn't be running your traditional ads, you should, but you should definitely be putting a percentage of budget or adding new budget to run conversational ads and working to optimize that, because the results when you do that are amazing. Next slide. Another different kind of way, a little bit more complicated, but really amazing, is a product customizer. So say like there's like a product, it can actually like quote unquote customize the product. You can say like the color, the shape, the size, and then you can point them to exactly the product page for that. And then they can drive and they can go and purchase. And of course, you know, conversation abandonment, cart abandonment, browse abandonment, all possible through a product customizer. We had a customer on the next slide do a really amazing campaign that got them really high ROAS on their ad campaign. I want to emphasize, this is not a typical one. I don't expect 18x on all your campaigns, but when they did this customization campaign, it really drove a lot of sales for them. They customized socks for different sports teams and all that. You could see the possibilities when you build these messenger ad conversations. Next one. So we've gone over product customizers, discount unlock, newsletter, and now we're going to go over product quiz actually. So on the product quiz, very similar to the product customizer. What this does is you can, when someone doesn't know exactly what they want to find, you help them find it. So very similar in the kind of thread, but it can be like, what are you looking for? This is a really great ad for that top of funnel, you know, like don't know what type of like candle you're looking for, take our quiz. And this quiz happens in Messenger. And each time someone answers like a question like what's like flavor or smell or color or size they want, now you have that information and you can retarget against that. You could retarget ads against it. You can retarget messages against it. You can retarget sponsored messages against it. It gives you a capability that you just didn't have before, and information that you cannot collect easily in any other way. So kind of an example of this is Tuft and Paw. They were able to actually get 87% of people to complete a quiz and then subscribe to the bot by doing kind of like a more fun quiz. And they also were able to collect a lot of email addresses through this as well. Through these messenger ads, it's not just the ROAS, the return on ad spend. It's also the other information you collect that's really valuable. And it's hard to put a price tag on just how valuable is it to collect all those emails and all those phone numbers and all of that retargetable information. It's almost priceless. But that's like one of the advantages that goes beyond traditional ads that is possible with these conversational ads. I want to show you another type of ad, which is the newsletter email collection. And so this is something that Mute6 has done, that we've seen other customers do. Again, when you ask for an email address, it pre-populates it from their Facebook account. They just have to click the blue button and it shares it with you. And then, if they don't finish and you drive them to the site, then you can do the entire series and both drive a sale and collect like an important piece of information, like an email address. Now, one cool thing that you could do on the next slide, as an example, if you're a Klaviyo customer, then you can actually trigger an email series based on that. So that email can be synced with a Klaviyo account, and then you can actually trigger an email based on, for example, they receive an abandoned cart Facebook message. If they don't convert after that, then maybe 4 to 8 hours later, send them the email. Because again, some people open email and some people open messages. It's not a problem to send both email and messages. Just stagger the timing. So send the message first and then send the email. And if you do that, then you will be a lot more successful. But there's a lot of capabilities and possibilities by using an integration like this, when you combine Messenger and email to trigger all sorts of cool emails based on the information you're collecting in Messenger. To show you an example of this in the next one, Mommy Makeup, they actually got 70% of people, not just to give an email, but to submit a selfie, and then they gave gift cards, and they were able to drive a lot of sales using this. And so this actually leads pretty well into one of my last use cases and examples before I go into a special use case. And this is user-generated content. You could do a click-to-messenger ad to collect UGC, things like a photo. So this is actual one that we did with Rick Ross. Rick Ross is the rapper, and he uses Octane AI. And so he collected a whole bunch of like selfies, and people sent thousands of selfies to Rick Ross. But you could imagine, for example, using an ad to get people to submit, like, you send us your photo, we'll help you with your style, or like send us like, your, like, if it's an existing customer, send us like your like style, we might feature you on our Instagram. These are really cool things that you can do in addition to collecting the email and phone numbers. Using the user-generated content features of Octane AI and messaging, you could really do something special. This is just something you can't do with email or another or other kinds of platforms like general social media. Leverage what's unique about messaging, and you will see greater results. All right, I want to talk about one last type of outbound ad before I go into sponsored messages. And this is comment capture, which you heard a little bit about before from Drew. So to give you a little bit more detail on comment capture, what comment capture is whenever somebody comments on one or any of your Facebook posts on your company's Facebook page, if someone comments on that and they're not connected to your messenger bot, they'll receive a message from your bot. And it can be something like, like, hey, welcome, whatever. And if they respond back, they will become a follower. So you might ask them a question of like, hey, do you want to get a discount? And they say yes, they'll be sent a message and they'll become a subscriber. Or like, hey, like join our list. Like if you join our list, you like can get like special deals and discounts. You want to join our list? They say yes, to become a subscriber. We've seen up to 90% of people who comment become subscribers this way. If you have an active Facebook page, this can be really powerful. On the ad side, what you do is you make one of these posts, and then if you find one that's doing well, you put boosted post money behind it. So you run a Facebook ad, you boost the post, you target a specific audience, and you drive people to comment, and that drives people to send a message back. So something engaging like, which of these four styles is your favorite? Or like, what's the number one thing you want to see us launch next? Whatever it might be, something that will get them to engage. So this is the power of comment capture. It is not quite the same as a click-to-messenger ad, but it is also a very powerful tool in your arsenal. You should definitely be using this and turning it on, even if you're not running ads with it. But I do suggest turning on global Facebook comments and comment capture and running boosted posts with the engagement posts that are doing really well. All right, so that covers the 101 on conversational messenger ads. I want to talk a little bit briefly about sponsored messages. I'm not going to have a ton of time to go through everything because I want to make sure Shen tells you about how you fund all of this and like make sure how you can like scale your experimentation and scale your growth. But sponsored messages is a new type of Facebook ad, brand new, that only a few messaging platforms support. And what they do is it allows you to send messages, promotional messages, to anyone who is opted in some way for Messenger, or just has ever messaged your Facebook page for any reason, even before you added a bot. And you can target these messages based on Facebook custom audiences. So for example, you could create a browse abandonment message. And so you can have one where people who go to the website, but haven't added something to a cart, you could have them send a message and show them the best-selling items. As one example of how you can use sponsored messages. A sponsored message is a Facebook ad type. You might pay half a cent, a cent, or something like that per message. But these messages do convert really, really well. This also helps you send messages outside of the Facebook 24+1 promotional window period, which is its own discussion. But essentially, this is something where you can send promotional messages to your customers or to prospects at any time, as much as you want. You're allowed to send a promotional message is allowed to be sent to a customer, to a person once a day. We recommend that you send probably about 2 of these a month to your entire base so that you can really convert them. Because one thing, honestly, where we've seen people using Messenger are under optimized is on sending broadcasts. You should be sending 2 broadcasts or 2 sponsored messages per month to drive real sales. We've seen broadcasts and sponsored messages drive 4 or 5 digit amounts in sales, especially during holidays. So for example, it is Father's Day soon. Send a sponsored message to your customers with your Father's Day promotion, and you will see results. One other type I want to show you, there's infinite possibilities based on all the Facebook custom audiences you've ever built. Re-engagement. If someone has come to your website but hasn't done anything the last 3 months or 6 months, you are able to send a re-engagement message using sponsored messages. And so sponsored messages, again, allows you to target based on any of the aspects of a Facebook custom audience that you have, all that kind of thing. Now, you could do this with all sorts of different kinds of campaigns. The possibilities are limitless. We do have a conversational ads playbook that you can definitely go and download and learn more from. And also, before passing it off to Shen, we do have these slides, and these slides will be available after this presentation at our slides page, join.octaneai.com/slides. And of course, if you want to learn more, if you want to start running conversational ads, definitely email us business@octaneai.com. I do recommend the combination of the 3 of us here to have using a platform that will help you get started, a great agency that will help you run the ads and optimize them, and a great group that will help fund the ads so that you don't have to give up your valuable equity in order to scale your growth. Now, one last thing, if you want to get an Octi, they are cute little mascot robots. Just search about Octane AI. We send it to everyone who's made their first $1,000 using Octane AI. So when you get started and you make your first $1,000, look out for a cute little robot in the mail. That's all I have on this portion. We'll answer some more questions at the end, but I want to pass this over to Shen at Clearbank to talk a little bit about how you scale this.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ben. You know what? I've seen these slides. We work with Octane AI, but just going through this and in other words, they're taking on too much capital and not being able to fulfill their obligations, whether that's to equity investors or making monthly loan payments if you've taken out a term loan from a bank. And then on the other side, and frankly more commonly, is that businesses are growing so fast that they lack the funds that are required to get to the next level. And so, as many of you probably experienced at some point, the decision to invest in marketing versus inventory or vice versa is a very important balancing act. And so if you deploy capital or a ton of capital on inventory and don't invest in your marketing, you're going to face these challenges in selling your product. If you spend all of your resources acquiring new customers and can't fulfill these purchases, you risk losing customers directly, and not to mention the reputational impact that you face. So similarly, when you find a channel that works for you, it's sometimes hard to make the decision to reallocate funds to test out new channels, which is why it's so critical to ensure that you have capital required to test out new channels, accelerate your growth at the highest velocity. Because if you're not, I think we can all confirm that other competitors and other folks in the space are doing that. So I want to take a few moments to discuss the most traditional forms of capital that businesses can take on to accelerate their growth. So first you have equity, whereby you as a founder give up a portion of your business to access capital. Secondly, there's a traditional loan, whereby the bank is underwriting you based on a number of factors, and they provide capital with agreed upon repayment rates and repayment terms. And then there's this idea of bootstrapping or reinvesting your profits that the business generates to further fuel your growth. All of these investment vehicles have specific functions, and in some cases, very high impact use cases. On the other hand, using the wrong type of capital for the wrong initiative can be detrimental to the growth of your business, and it can quite frankly end up costing you a lot more than you bargained for. When we go to the next slide, the first form of financing that I just mentioned was equity, right? And all the credit goes to venture capital, and they've done a great job of branding themselves as this coveted thing to do. When you're running a business, often you'll see on TechCrunch or other publications that a company has raised X million dollars to help with growth. But very seldom do you hear about how much that business owner had to give up to raise that capital. Equity dollars are the most expensive capital you'll ever raise. Let me repeat that. Equity dollars are the most expensive capital you'll ever raise. And this is because investors are often looking for 10 to 20x returns in most cases. Not to mention, when you take on venture capital, you now have a board member who's a part of every strategic conversation, and they can quite frankly dictate the future of your business. When VC was created, it was originally used in scientific research and development. The fundamental role of venture capital was to be able to fund uncertainty. So if you're looking to launch a new product line, if you're looking to hire senior talent, or you're looking to build out the tech, then yes, absolutely use your equity dollars, and that makes sense. But if you're looking to fund a repeatable, scalable channel, like your Facebook ad spend, then there are definitely other ways to efficiently do that. If we go to the next slide, we got a quote here from Tuft, who was an early employee at Facebook. And then he went on to start his own VC firm called Social Capital. And Social Capital did a study that found 40% of every VC dollar raised goes directly towards Facebook, Google, and Amazon spend, which is absolutely absurd given the fact that there's long-term costs that are associated with this capital. Moving from equity is this concept of debt, right? And so aside from equity, you can raise debt in traditional forms or this idea of venture debt. In some cases, this can be relatively cheap, but accessing this capital can be challenging, especially if you're a relatively new business or you're experiencing hypergrowth. Often banks are going to mask a personal loan as a business loan, and they're going to check for your credit scores. They're going to collateralize your inventory, and they're, quite frankly, they're not invested in the success of the business, because as long as they get their term payment at the end of the month, they're happy. They don't really care how successful you are or how well you grow the business, because they're just looking for that monthly payment every month. And if they don't receive those funds, your credit gets affected, or worse, they come after your business or sometimes even your personal assets. One of the most common things for companies to do after they raise an equity round is to secure venture debt. And this comes from a specialized bank or a lender. Like traditional debt described above, or described earlier, is the fact that there's notable pros and cons with this type of lending. The pros are that you're likely to receive good terms. That's kind of a given, and that's because a venture capitalist has just told the world that you're going places and you're going there fast. This signal makes it easier for banks to feel better about offering debt. Typically, the more venture equity you raise, the better your venture debt terms will be. This debt is often pitched to entrepreneurs as a rainy day fund in case of slowdowns or in case they need to make larger capital purchases such as a machine or fixed leases on real estate or anything like that. Another pro of venture debt is that everyone does it, meaning a CEO will never get fired or replaced for taking on some venture debt. But then there's downsides, and quite often folks don't talk about the downside of venture debt. And so even though they're not talked about as much, firstly, most VC investors don't see venture debt as a rainy day fund. They see it as emergency capital. So what this means is if one of their portfolio companies were to draw from it, it would be seen as extremely negative signal for the company. And when speaking to the best VCs off the record, they call it the kiss of death if you're taking venture debt and if you're pulling from that venture debt, unless it's used on a pre-agreed, well-researched expense. And then further, many new founders think of this debt as easy to access and spend when the opposite is quite often the case. As I mentioned, debt is often full of conditions, and just getting a hold of that or accessing that capital is very complicated. So the last kind of piece that I mentioned, there's venture debt, there's equity, and then there's this idea of bootstrapping or reinvesting your profits from the previous month to grow the company. The upside of this is, yes, you're free of any obligation and the business can grow at its own pace, which is fine. But the downside is that you're capped by your own growth. When you're bootstrapping, if you found a great channel or you're looking to grow the business fast, you're capped by the previous month's revenue generation. As we move kind of down to the next slide there, actually probably 2 slides from here, I just wanted to quickly talk about ClearBank and kind of the value of this new asset class that we've created. We've created an investment vehicle that sits between debt and equity as part of a revenue sharing model. So ClearBank is designed to fund the repeatable, scalable parts of your business. Once you've found an engine like digital advertising spend, like Ben and Drew were talking about, once you know your ROAS, you're able to increase that efficiently, and $1 into Facebook is going to generate $3, $4, $5 out, then ClearBank is the best option to fund this growth. We provide capital at a flat fee, and then repayment is made as a percentage of gross revenue. So we only get paid back when you as a business owner or as a business is growing as well. And the way the capital is actually designed is to scale with you as you grow. So we provide you capital based on today and historicals, but then we continue to grow with you on a monthly basis and deploy more and more capital as you grow your business. On the next slide, I wanted to kind of talk about the fact that we forego traditional underwriting to provide capital based on true transaction data. And the funds are deployed within 3 to 4 business days. And quite frankly, to find out how much you qualify for, all you have to do is connect to your e-commerce platform. So you're going to connect your Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce store. You connect your payment processor, Stripe, Authorize.net, PayPal, whatever you're using to acquire customers online, as well as your Facebook or Google ad spend account. Based on those 3 platforms, we've got a pretty holistic view of the business. And so we're looking at the true metrics that matter for a business. And with these accounts connected, we can provide you capital on an ongoing basis to help you accelerate your growth. To learn more about ClearBank, you can reach out to clearbank.com, or after this webinar, we can shoot over an email about the value of ClearBank. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out. Back to you, Taryn.
Great. So I would like to thank all of our presenters for providing such an in-depth overview of how conversational ads work. So now we've been getting a lot of questions throughout the webinar, and we'd like to go ahead and answer a few of them. But before we do this, I'd like to remind everyone that after this webinar is over, we are making this video available on YouTube. So we're going to send you an email later in the afternoon today. You'll have a link to this video so you can watch it at any time. And we're also going to include a link to download the slides. So once you download the slides, you'll be able to access this information on demand. And also, I'm not able to do it right now because I'm answering these questions, but we will paste in the link so you can learn more about Mute6 and ClearBank as well. They've been awesome partners to us throughout this e-commerce journey we've been on, and you'll do well working with them. So with that, let's just go ahead and answer some of the questions that have been coming in. Okay, so one question that we have coming here is, I get the Facebook add to landing page, but how about connecting with web-based chat? It'd be great if we can connect with people on our landing page. So if I'm understanding this question correctly, it looks like they want to know if they can have someone click on an ad that takes them to a conversation on a landing page. So speakers love to get your input on that.
I'll start with that one. So I think, John, please specify if we're getting this right or wrong. One on like a web-based chat, you can add a Facebook Messenger like chat embed. That is something that Octane AI offers. But you want to use chat to direct to a conversation. Like if they're in fresh chat, you want to direct them to Messenger. Is that correct? If that's the case, got it. So let's leave it at that's something I've been thinking actually a lot about. And so there are a couple ways to do that today, but there'll be even better ways soon. So one big thing is that every conversation that you build in Octane AI automatically gets its own URL. And so there's like, when you create a convo in Octane AI, like a product recommendation conversation, it'll have its own URL. You can actually just put the URL in that conversation. If they click it, they will drop into the Messenger conversation and they will become opted in as a subscriber. That will be dead simple for sure. The easiest way to take people from your fresh chat or another system that you have to your Messenger experience. I also recommend for everybody, if you are to use this link and to post it on your socials, to share the bot, to share a conversation, and to put it as part of your email welcome series. In addition to getting people to opt in and follow you on Instagram and others, you want people following you on Messenger. Leverage your email list to get people to opt in on Messenger as well. I hope that answers your question.
All right, it looks like we're good on that one. And then last question we have is, can we do abandoned carts in Beekeeper?
I think I mentioned this one a little bit before, but yes, there's definitely stuff that we can do, especially on the browser betterment side. And then there's a whole bunch of new stuff coming out. So if you are using a non-Shopify platform, email us at business@octaneai.com and we'll get you in the loop on all the stuff that you could do. We also have great partners that are very good at managing all of that as well.
Great. Thanks for that. And it looks like those are actually all the questions that we have for today's webinar. So everyone, I want to thank you again for joining us. Keep an eye out for an email from us later on today with a link to the recording and the slides. And again, we just want to thank you for joining this webinar, and we're excited to see you at our future webinars. If any of you are going to IRCE or any of the big upcoming trade shows, let us know. We'd be happy to see you there. So thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.